Commissioner Devine,
Here.
Vice Chairman Kelly,
Here.
Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Davenport,
Here.
Commissioner Conrad.
Here.
And this morning, we have our General Manager, CEO 2025 Annual Performance Review and Merit Reward Determination. And Ms. Heather will come up and start the meeting.
Good morning. Heather Carazales, Support Services Senior Manager. As you are all aware, we have been discussing the General Manager, CEO Efrain Chavez's performance review process for the last few months. We have come to the end of that process now, so thank you for all of you who have completed the evaluation. This morning's meeting is to discuss those evaluations amongst yourselves and then determine if you deem Mr. Chavez to have a pay increase or not. So at this time, we'll excuse Mr. Chavez from the meeting so he doesn't have to sit here and watch you guys talk about him. And then we'll, I do have some information that was provided to you in your packet that we'll go over briefly.
See you.
Is this meeting open to the public?
It is.
Thank you.
It is.
So I did not, you guys do not have copies of each other's performance evaluations, so you don't know how each other scored. So this opportunity is for you to discuss how you evaluated Mr. Chavez's performance for 2025. And then I did provide some information for consideration as it comes to the merit increase. He has not had a pay increase since he was appointed the permanent general manager CEO in December of 2024. His current annual salary is $255,000. At a previous commission meeting, the commission decided as a guideline to start with what the average NSBU employees' pay increase is, which for the last couple of years has been around 4%. That's what it was again for FY26 as well. But I did also provide you some numbers if you wanted to go a little bit lower at 3%, a little bit higher at 5%. But again, it's your discretion as to what you would like to choose. There's also some benchmarking data in there with other municipalities in Volusia County, as well as the APPA salary survey for the Southeast region area. So with that, any questions for me before we open it up to discussion amongst yourselves?
Yes. I believe last year when we went through this process, we had indicated, and please refresh my memory if I'm, if I'm incorrect or correct, actually, and we determined that the increase in salary would only be what the average was for all of the employees, correct?
That was a guideline for you all to start with.
But isn't that what we agreed to last year?
I think it was 2 years ago, but yes.
It was.
Yes.
And then last year, did we do the same thing?
We have not done a GM CEO pay increase since 2023 because Mr. Bunch left. Mr. Chavez was interim last year. So this will be the first year in 2 years you've done a permanent increase for the GM CEO.
Was there a performance review last year?
No, because he was interim for a good 6 months. So Mr. Bunch had given his notice in about March of last year, March of 2024, for a few months. He gave a few months notice, and then Efrain served as interim for about 6 months. He took over as permanent CEO from December of 2024. So this is his review from December 2024 to December of 2025.
And Heather, do you remember what we were paying Mr. Bunch when he left? Because I know we had just given him a increase.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I believe he was around $275 when he left.
Excuse me, Ms. Simmons, do you know?
I don't remember, I'm sorry.
Okay,
But that's a good ballpark, give or take,
that's
Okay.
what I remember, around
Yep.
275.
Because I knew we had just given him one
the prior year.
prior
correct.
year, yeah.
Any other questions for me at this point? I will tell you the average score amongst the 4 of you that did submit an evaluation was a 4.42 out of a 5-point rating scale.
4.42?
Correct.
That's good.
And then we'll open it up for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just say a couple observations I've made working with Efrain is I would like to see Efrain, he's been put into a leadership role, but it also behoove him to possibly us pay for him to even get some leadership guidance, even to bring him to another level. I like that idea. I would like to see him give this commission, when we're talking about certain things, I'd like to see him engage and say, hey, I like that, I want to go with it, or, I don't feel like he's communicating enough
Right.
up here with us. So, I mean, that's a couple of areas that I'm seeing. The pros, though, I've worked with Ephraim through the hurricanes, and I've seen him out there 6 a.m. in the morning out at the airport with the guys that are all from all over eating. They're out there
Yeah.
having coffee, and then he was literally on top of everything and communicated very well with the city with all, we had those hurricanes, so our utilities weren't down that much. So there are a couple areas I see that could be improved with Ephraim, but at the same time, he's really passionate and he gives his best that he can. I'd like to see him communicate, to me, maybe I'm wrong, I'd like to see him communicate better with the city, if you will, more interaction, keep the mayor up to date and them over there on a regular basis. Just a couple observations I'm making sitting here, just thought process.
Okay.
It's reasonable. Ms. Conrad?
On everything. Well, actually, I do. Give me a second chance and I'll always open my mouth. I echo the comments that Buddy has made. I feel the same way, and Ephraim stepped into a role that without hesitation, he did everything that was in the plan to be done. Sometimes a little bit longer timeline would take place, only because we were going through some things with purchasing and some other changes within the organization, which I think could negatively have impacted the end result, and probably has to some extent. But he's grown a lot in the position, and I believe that while I may have given a lower rating, if you compare the kinds of things that I have pointed out, I don't think anybody's perfect. I am usually a hard grader, and what will make more sense next year is the fact that I have a benchmark there, and I will be able to measure his performance improvement. And that may have negatively affected this year's score. But it isn't for lack of wanting Ephraim to continue to work with us and to grow in his job. And I agree with Buddy that communication sometimes is a little bit hard to get. And then the other point that is of concern to me is the backup staffing. We don't seem to have a backup to our senior leadership and directors, and to me that's an area that needs to be corrected going forward.
I agree with that 100%, what you just said on the backup staffing. And we've gotten light over the last few years, so I'd like to see that too, if something were to happen to somebody. But
Okay.
I agree with that one.
Thank you, and I do agree with some of that. That is Commissioner Devine.
Yeah, I guess first off, what I've really found very favorable about Ephraim is, one, the culture here overall, I think is excellent. And as the senior leader, I think he has a lot of responsibility in developing that culture. Ephraim is, he's not technical. He comes from a accounting CPA background, which is great for the role, but he has demonstrated an ability to learn technical things at the appropriate level. I don't see any issues with that. So I would consider him a very good generalist across the board. He seeks to try to understand more and more around some of the technical areas of running the utility, which is great. I think the two big areas of concern that I highlighted in my feedback were, one, is this rate plan that the rate plan study and then the consequential increases, that playbook that was used was inadequate. It came up first with the wrong answer. It came up delayed. It caused, a secondary budget to have to be created. And I won't go into all the details, but I think there's one thing about, having errors like that occur, and then it's a second thing to be able to kind of quickly recognize the error that you made, own it, learn from it, and move on. And I think there was a bit of resistance in trying to really embrace that had been done in a way that could have been much better result. So that was number one. And then number two was, I think all of us recognize some lack of collaboration with a senior member on the board here. There was also, I had consequently found through one-on-one meetings and other areas, some lack of collaboration with some of his staff. And Buddy, to your point, I think, while I'm not trying to find fault in where that breakdown is, if you're the senior leader, you own that collaboration. And I think that has caused, it was significant enough that it's caused attrition both at the, here on the board and potentially with his directs. So I think, this kind of training that you're referencing, Buddy, we ought to make that mandatory. It ought to include some sort of 360 review so that he could get some more direct feedback on a one-on-one setting, especially if we could do that through a third party and then let that person be the facilitator of the information back to Ephraim would be outstanding. And those are kind of the two big things, but I think, he's relatively new in his career, especially as it relates to this kind of a senior CEO role. So I think the training has got to be, he really needs to take that training. And then I think the words of advice is to really be more accepting of feedback and embrace it, show you've heard it, give it back, and then move on.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Also, what Jeff just said, I totally agree with, and I've been blessed to sit up here, and all the years, I was really taken back on how that whole process unraveled. Actually, it made us look bad, talking about the rate increase and springing it on us the way it was done if we'd have communicated better. But I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, but I gotta bring it up and talk to get it off my mind, because I've talked to him. And he realizes that. He realized that, said, you can't do that to this board. We just can't have things like that. Keep in mind what happened, and let's don't let it happen again. Because we all know, sitting up here, how passionate we are and what we've given our time and our energy. And for it to look, again, the city's over across the street over here, they don't know what we're doing over here.
Right.
So we had to freeze it and stop it, and Heather had to write a draft to get over to the city for, we're not gonna let the budget go. Hey, that made us all look bad up here, every one of us. And I don't like to be made to look bad, and I don't like any of us to be made, when we work so damn hard. And I gotta tell you, that's the one that's really got my goat right there, because we work too hard to be made to look, and we were made to look bad because of a mistake. And thank goodness we worked some things out, because that 10-10-10 was outrageous.
Yeah.
So I agree with he knows that. That's my biggest thing right there. But then I look at how hard he's worked on the hurricanes and what he does. And so a couple of things, the things I've gotten out of here is leadership role, better communication, take criticism, embrace it, and come back with a positive attitude. Because if you correct me on something, I'm gonna listen, I'm gonna make it better. And that's what he needs to work on. There's what Commissioner Devine said, those couple of areas. And then just, and back it up with what Commissioner Conrad said, with some depth in leadership.
Right.
And so those are really three important areas, I'm thinking, the leadership, I think taking it like one, Commissioner Devine again, two would be the accept it, embrace it, come back with a positive attitude and move on, you know, he can do this. He's got a lot of talent in him. We gotta bring it out of him. Gotta help him get it out of him. And we can do that.
Commissioner, I tend to agree with a lot of what everybody said, and I do, first and foremost, it was a very particularly painful time to be. You had stepped down, you know, had been turned out, and it's, you know, it's a question of integrity and things like that, and the way that the appearance was,
Oh, man.
it was not good, it was not pleasant, you know, I saw the look on Commissioner Conrad's face a couple times, and it was not, so, but, you know, going back, when I first got here, Mr. Bunch was the CEO, and, I mean, let's face it, that guy was probably way underpaid. He was a professional, but a lot of
real
people want
pro.
to come to Florida and New Smyrna to work, and they'll do it for less to come down in the second part of their career. So I think Ephraim learned a lot from him. Joe, to me, Mr. Bunch was a departmental guy. He liked to let the departments run themselves.
Exactly.
But he oversaw and understood everything. So I like that about him. And I do think, and to all y'all's point, that training never hurts anybody. At any level in an organization, it never hurts, right? And I think to Commissioner DeWine's point, I don't forget, maybe it was Ms. Conrad that said the communication with the city council and the commission is important and could be better, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to deal with it at the end of the day, where they appoint us, so our decisions reflect on their job performances. So I think that's good. And, you know, going back to your point, Commissioner Devine, that on the planning and communication and all that, it could have been better. I think the good part about it was we learned from it, and I hope.
I'm hot right now.
Yeah, hopefully the whole staff learned from it. There was never any malcontent or any
None.
integrity questions going on, but it sure felt like it, looked like it, right? And that was a very uncomfortable time. But I think overall, the team building, the attitudes, the compliments you get from people in the community about the NSBU and how things are run, I think Ephraim does a fabulous job with that. And he's a worker. And to Jeff's point, I have a brother who's a CPA and another one's a judge, and their behaviors particularly sometimes go right with their titles. I mean, you know, my personal CPA, if you put CPA in the dictionary, his picture's underneath there, because that's what he is. He plays golf that way and everything. He annoys me when I've played with him, so I don't even like to play with him. So
We're all different, you know.
So, yeah, but I do think overall, that's a great team and great teamwork here, and I think that he can take some of that responsibility. But I also do think that, like Mr. Bunch was a great communicator, because those department heads really communicated. So I think Ephraim got a period of time to learn from him. Wish he could have had longer, you know. So, but I do agree with the training part of it. I think that, and I hate to use the word training. It's learning your job role better. Yeah. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add just one more thing in what you're saying. Another thing, you know, you just said, and I've always thought this and felt this, across the street, they're in charge.
they're in charge.
They appoint us,
That's correct.
and they give us direction. I thought I had that on silent, I'll turn it off. They give us direction. And I listened to them. For years, I couldn't understand how this board, when they got appointed, didn't listen to a darn word that they were saying over there. I mean, they'd argue. I'm going, I can't figure this out. Why? But they didn't get reappointed. My point, I wish that Ephraim would grab and get motivated here in the near future about the Western complex. That's what they want over there. That's a given.
Yeah.
New Smyrna Commission wants that, unless it changes.
Yeah.
But they want that to happen. And I think it needs to happen in the right way, but I wish he would grasp it and take more. In the future, we get this bond issue behind us.
Yeah.
We get a couple of things behind us. To me, that's one, other than keep going with our 10-year capitalization plan that we're deep into it, finish that up and look at our capital projects. But keep our eye on this, get him motivated about the Westerly complex. That's what, I'd love to see that with him. And,
Commissioner Conrad?
I want to go back to the one thing that I feel most is important is, and I think everything we've talked about is very important, but we've got to have backup. We're so thin. If anything happens to anybody in that leadership role, the finance area and the operations area, there's no backup, and in one case, there's nothing. So Ephraim needs that support desperately. I'm not suggesting he hasn't actively been looking for those positions, because I know he has. And maybe we have to take another look at those job descriptions and see how we can attract good candidates for those positions. So I think that ought to be in one of the objectives that he has for his work performance next year.
Yeah, I agree. As well, and just as important, is retention.
Yes.
And I think we have experienced retention because of some of the leadership issues that I think is very important. That my understanding was, in a previous review, there was a suggestion of some sort of mentorship or leadership training. Ephraim declined, and I think we have to say that, encourage this training in the strongest words possible. To me, it's not an option, especially if you look at where that attrition that occurred this year, and Commissioner, as you're bringing up, I mean, there's two ways that problem emerges. One is, what we have today, and the second is if we see more attrition, and that we have to prevent as well.
So it's interesting everybody mentioned that. I just read an article in Wall Street just a bit back, probably 2-3 weeks ago, about company ladder and depth of companies, and there's a gap in industry, in nationwide, in talent and bringing people up and through. We're probably, say, our generations that are sitting up here would be more loyal and stay at one place and work for a long time. Younger generations won't. They'll go to where they want to live, they have an experience, a life experience. So it is good, and I do think that, to your point, there's proper training, and training should never be declined at any level. No. I mean, I know even in some of my roles, I hated to leave and go somewhere. A lot of times it was out of area training, but it's vital to train always and learn and stuff. And this is such a broad company. It does so much. It's not just electric and power, but it's personnel, land development, whole 9 yards, to Buddy's point. And I think your little presentation we did brought that back to the forefront. And I think that Ephraim, once we get through the bond thing, or once the bond thing is over, that bond thing got quite distracting.
more ways than one.
It was, and it should be. It's a huge amount of money, right?
Yes,
so it should
right.
be distracting. And
Yeah, but not that distracting.
it probably
Mr.
wasn't
Kelly.
enough money to complete everything we needed to do, but we can go back and, that's just my opinion, go back and look at it later, but I do think,
Talking about education and training, 2 times a year, I meet for 4 days somewhere around the country, like just recently in Alabama with 40 agents, but they're all mentors to me. They're some of the best in the country. And we sat around, we for 8 hours, it's brutal.
Yeah.
And we take notes, we spend a lot of money for speakers to come in, and, and that's out of my pocket. Boy, I wish the company, State Farm, said, hey, we're gonna give $12,000, send you over for 4 days over at this resort. Of course, it was a nice resort.
No.
We always stay at the best.
Yeah.
But we have to pay. But, I do that, but anytime anybody suggests something to me to get more knowledge, I'm like a sponge. I can't learn enough, so. I think we're in the right, and I agree with Commissioner Vine said. I think it needs to be, not a suggestion, but we expect this. The commission, I think it'd be good for him.
Yeah.
I know it
Especially with
would
some
be.
360 feedback. I think that's
Exactly.
from the staff, and
It's helping
that
grow.
can be so powerful.
to your point, I always went to the 20 group meetings, and they were always in nice places, by the way. I never turned one down. But I always learned something new.
Always.
And, it was funny because you could go to those things and there'd be a mega dealer and there'd be a small dealer, right? And the smaller dealers, because of their, fiscal conservativeness, because of the size of their facility, brought up some of the best topics. When it was expense control, somebody from a smaller unit always was better at expense control. And so you always learn something from it. So not to beat a dead horse, I think we all agree that's
Okay,
gotta be.
so just another observation sitting here is what Commissioner Conrad said. That's as important as anything, this debt right now. We have got to get, it scares me sitting up here thinking about it. Because, oh my gosh. So Heather, you're hearing us loud and clear. You're in charge of HR. You can hear that from up here.
Yes, sir.
And Heather, can we ask this? I don't know, are our pay rates competitive with other municipalities at levels lower than CEO? I mean, are we?
Absolutely. We
Okay.
wrapped up our compensation and classification study with salary.com middle of last year. So we have fairly recently benchmarked ourselves against other municipalities in Volusia County, against other utility organizations, municipal-owned utilities in the Central Florida area. So we are competitive with our salary and our benefits, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Another point is, this is an opportunity pretty much for a fresh start for the interaction between the city manager and the CEO of the utilities company. They both have a much more limited tenure than their staffs. And I think that that's a great communication level. The city commission and the utilities commission are peers. The CEO and the utilities commission
Bless you.
and the city manager are peers. And below that, you've got the finance director, and the finance directors of both organizations really learn from each other, but what's going on in the utilities commission versus what's going on in the city. So having those communication levels all the way through leadership is pretty important. And at this point, I'd like to see improvement in that. I think, and I'm going to point to one person, I think that Kenny Ho's participation in all of the pre-app meetings and his availability from an engineering side really supports the planning and zoning board and the other staff at the city. And I appreciate every time I hear that he's on one of those calls, and the fact that he has complete input and his supervisor is aware of what it is that's going on because he communicates back to that supervisor. And those are the kinds of communication issues that are going to be much more beneficial to us as the city grows and as the utilities commission grows.
That's excellent, excellent idea. So you're saying, let me understand this, not only should the CEO be talking, I thought the mayor, but the
No.
manager, city manager, and then let the CFO over here and the CFO over there, let them communicate. I like that, because a lot of the stuff that kind of maybe start going the wrong way, they can advise real quick if we have monthly meetings with a couple of levels, 3 levels. I like CFOs talking. Let them know about the money over here and over there.
And there was a time when Mr. Bunch was still here and the city had more stability in the finance department, because they've gone through some of the same issues
Right,
that we
yeah.
have. Efren did meet with the finance
Right, he
director
did, yeah.
on a regular basis. So I think that our participation at the second line is excellent, and if we had those positions filled, they'd be even better. But that's our opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's take advantage of it. Let's get some things going.
I mean, that, to your point, that's common sense, that should be taking place almost. And if we're gonna have a Western complex, there's gonna be a lot more of it taking place. Because that doesn't happen without that's not us, that's the city.
Yeah, I think that's the most important area of collaboration
Yeah.
in the short term.
Yeah, yeah.
Is because that is,
And I think
has
that's,
to go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And
Hey,
potentially even
communicate-
some
well-
collaboration with the county as well.
yeah,
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
take that. Oh, my God, yeah, yeah.
Like I've always said up here, transparency,
Yeah.
good communication with accountability to everybody. And that's what we've tried to do, but we need to raise the bar, like Jeff just said, the county too.
Yeah,
Now,
the Western Complex is gonna take the county, state, the whole 9 yards to
Oh,
be
yeah.
involved with that, with,
Will Roberts
Yeah.
is ready to pull the
Yeah.
trigger on his end for the county,
Yep.
which would be great.
and it'd be great for this area to get, I don't know, Commissioner Devine presented, but this property is well, it's a whole nother discussion. This
Yeah, it
property is
is.
way more valuable to this community
That'll be,
than the house.
that's gonna come quick
Utilities.
enough, I think,
Yeah,
right,
so-
everybody?
Yes,
That's already, it's gotta be rolled out on
Yeah.
the launch pad,
Yeah.
it sounds
There's a
like.
vote today.
I don't want to bring politics into this, but I think I will.
Yeah.
Until somebody at the state level figures out what they're going to do with our personal taxing situation, I think
Yes.
it's hard to make some real solid
Isn't that the
decisions.
truth?
yeah,
Wow.
okay. No further comments?
Let's talk about money then.
Let's move on.
But should we go through the areas we'd like to talk, 1, 2, 3, and number them, Mr. Chairman, like, what we just said here, the backup, the leadership, number 1.
Yeah,
Number 2, the backup to Commissioner Conrad, and then, Commissioner Devine had another one in there besides leadership. Oh, taking, information and accepting it and receiving it, criticism, basically. If there is any positive criticism, and react positively. Those are the,
Heather, do you have enough
should
to
we-
put together standards of work performance expected for next year for Ephraim?
I do. Yep, you can also, when we do bring him back, once you've decided on if you would like to give him a salary increase and how much, and we bring him back to the meeting, if you wanted to verbalize a summary of your feedback and those action items, you can do that as well, but I can also detail it out as a recap for you all and Mr. Chavez.
Should we try and focus on the consensus on the increase?
yes,
I think so.
I think so too.
I mean, just as a proposal, I would say to keep it at the UC average, which was the 4%.
Yes,
I agree.
I agree, and I even put that in my notes when we did our review. I think that's something that's got to be across the board.
I agree also, if the others are getting 4%, it would be bad to give more to Ephraim when they're doing that. I like the 4% too, I put. So, we're all in agreement on that. So he's getting paid what now, Heather, too?
He currently is at $255,000 annually.
That'll bring him to
265.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Don't know what I'd do without you.
So do we need to vote on that, or is this consensus sufficient?
Sounds like we have a consensus.
Yeah, I think a
anyone else?
consensus is fine, so long as there's no objection.
Do we need to vote or no?
I think you should vote on it, but
Okay, all right, let's do
All
it.
right, well, I'll make a motion to give CEO Ephraim Chavez a 4% increase based upon communication from the HR department. And
Second?
Ms. Simmons?
Commissioner Devine,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Davenport,
Yes,
Commissioner Conrad.
Yes.
Okay, at this
Okay.
point, would you like me to bring Mr. Chavez back to the meeting then?
Do,
Or any further discussion?
yeah,
any further discussion?
What's the format for, can you say that more about the format of the feedback to Ephraim?
What I can do is I can just summarize what you've discussed here. So as Commissioner Davenport mentioned, training and leadership opportunities. The International City County Management Association has a great leadership program that he can look into. They do have conferences and things like that. It would give him a network of peers with other city and county managers as well. The staffing, we already have a succession plan underway and to talk about some of those. So, we'll put that in there, filling the leadership gaps that you've discussed. But I'll go back and rewatch the video, highlight all of the action items that you wanted, and then give that back to you all for, a confirmation that we hit all of the high points there. But you can certainly verbalize
Well,
those.
I think you missed a couple important ones. Number one,
Correct, that's why I'll go back and watch the video, because
Okay.
I wasn't taking copious
gonna-
notes while you guys were
Great,
talking,
okay.
but, which is
Oh.
why I'll also provide it back to you so that you guys can agree, yes, these were the action items you wanted.
you mean in just a minute you're gonna do this?
No, no,
or-
no, afterwards. Like I
Okay,
said, you
but
can
I'm
currently.
asking immediately here when he comes back into the room, what's our approach?
Correct. If you would like, you can verbalize those to him as a summary or his feedback in general. Hey, great job on a lot of things, the hurricane, here's some items we'd like for you to work on. But then we can do it more formally afterwards,
Okay.
if that works for the commission.
Let's, why don't you bring Commissioner Smith up to date real quick, Mr. Kelly? Just tell him what we've done, so.
We have gone over, good morning, by the way. We've gone over our CEO Chavez's job performance review and pay increase, and we all agreed on a 4% increase.
Okay.
Whether that's what the rest of the Utilities Commission people made, and it was unanimous vote yes for that.
Okay.
And we also made some points, great points about a great culture, does a good job, works hard, always there available. We want more communication with the mayor and city council. More communication and planning. We feel like we're left out of the loop a little bit here and there on the communication, and an opportunity to discuss and, look at everything and rework it and have some discussion on it also.
In addition, Commissioner Smith, what we agreed to up here is, we feel that CEO, Ephraim Chavez could use some leadership, mentoring, a 360 review, as Commissioner Devine said, where he gets be like me when I go get my training. He needs a little training to, help him raise the bar a little bit as far as a leader. So we talked about that, and then we talked about receiving criticism. If he receives criticism from anybody, then then respond in a positive way. Don't take it bad. Nobody'd say anything. But overall, he's got a really good, got an excellent rating. Just a couple areas there. Would you, Mr. Conrad or Commissioner Down, y'all have a comment?
Well, I think Vice Chair Kelly needs to finish what he was saying.
Yeah.
I thought he did.
No.
The training part of it and learning, teaching part of it, I think we all feel that there's got to be a communication part there. And then also, the depth, the bringing up people through the ranks too. I mean, God forbid something happen, who's the next person? Are we going out and hiring somebody cold off the street? Or do we have somebody internal that can be moved forward? And, I made the comment too, Mr. Bunch was outstanding at what he did. And I think Ephraim learned a lot from him, but I don't think that book was complete when Mr. Bunch stepped down. And I just think that everything here that is done well, but I think the communication between the city and the commission could be better, but not necessarily us. Ephraim, his staff, the city manager and their staff could have more communication, and especially going forward with the Western Front, that we're gonna need that communication. That is in there. And, we want Ephraim to know that, I think that after listening to Commissioner Devine again, that we are giving him this based off his performance. I think he's done a good job. I think he's done a complete job, and, we want this training to be done. I think that needs to be, and I hate to use the word training, continuing education might be better. And what part of your skill set are you missing, right? What part of, we all have skill sets that are good and bad, and, he's a CPA, he's excellent at that type of work and everything. But communicating, building staff, and team building is a whole nother part of training,
Well, I apologize for my tardiness. I think I got totally whacked out this morning when I woke up, and I think I came to my senses somewhere on the North Causeway, and I appreciate going back and giving me what took place. I have really nothing but good things to say
Absolutely.
about Ephraim. I think he does a great job. I think he's had to go through some strange
So, yeah.
events of late, and I think when I think about leaders, I think about being calm when things are getting rough. And I think he does a great job of staying calm, because I personally am a hothead, and, you know, things affect me, I say something about it, but he practices refrain and a good judgment and stays calm. So that's my opinion.
You know,
The overall rating, by the way, Heather pointed out in the beginning, was 4.42.
Okay.
Of everybody.
Out of 5, so.
another thing, talking about, I'm just sitting here thinking about, I'm thinking about those oysters, Commissioner Smith. $10 a piece down there. We were at the Florida Municipal Electrical Association. Did I say that right, Heather?
You got it.
Did pretty good, huh? They have some excellent tools in their toolbox. And they think the world of New Smyrna Beach Utilities. We're really highly rated with that organization. And that executive director, leader, great guy. We could ask, Hunt, you know, ask them right there, people like that. They got a lot of training programs available that we could reach out to them. Don't you think, Heather, it's a good idea to start, maybe?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's all I got to say. Thank you.
And Heather, excellent job, great information in getting all this ready and getting it done, so thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You're always very professional.
I had one comment, you know, on the salary, I was just concerned that he was within a bracket of managers, and his position is similar. Was that discussed? Or?
Yes, yes.
It was provided in the information. There was a PowerPoint presentation where we benchmarked Mr. Chavez's salaries against other city managers in Volusia County, as well as
okay.
the American Public Power Association salary survey of the Southeast region. And yes, his salary is currently within the ballpark of
That
everyone.
was a concern, and
Yeah.
thanks for answering that.
It's on one of the pages right here, Commissioner Smith. It kind of gives a salary survey, and it shows you where he would fit in there on this association survey. And he's going to be at the, he's going to be in the,
It's right in the middle.
right in the middle. Not the
Okay,
highest,
upper.
not the lowest, but above the medium.
That's just my concern, and I think it's been answered.
Okay.
Any other comments, commissioners? Move on. Nope.
Then with that,
Okay.
I can bring Mr. Chavez back, and then you can again summarize, you know, your comments about his performance overall, verbally deliver some action items that you have discussed, and then I can follow up in written format afterwards, and we can finalize and codify those action items, if that sounds good.
Commission, do we want to do that, or do we want to wait for her to formalize it and put it in a little spreadsheet, or we want to do it right now?
We have a mixed group now coming in, so
Yeah.
I think it's inappropriate to.
Yep,
Agree.
okay, that's why I was asking.
It is all public information, however, I think everyone needs to feel comfortable with the process, for sure.
Okay, I agree with the general consensus.
What do we
You
bring
summarize
to-
everything and then
Bring
we.
him back, and then no
Or
discussion
we should
today.
have the room back the way it was. The meeting wasn't supposed to start till 9, right?
Could we ask
One or the
them,
other.
we just ask a few people to,
Certainly, I mean, you can ask the folks to
but
step
they can
out,
read
but-
it through anyway.
Sure,
so.
and I think this is also
it-
being televised, I think, too, correct?
Recorded, yeah.
Recorded.
Stream.
I agree with waiting until we've had a chance to look at the summarization of the things that we've discussed, and we make sure that what we thought we said was interpreted
Good idea.
as we
All right,
thought.
let's do, that's good, that's a good idea.
I agree with Commissioner Conrad on that. We need to
Very good.
let Heather summarize that.
Then we'll bring Mr. Chavez back, and then we
Mr.
can close
Chavez
the meeting.
back.
Does he get all the ratings that we did individually as well?
Yes,
Thank
he
you.
has seen your performance reviews, and they will be in his personnel file.
Okay. Well, we will go ahead then and make,
Heather,
we bring
thanks
him
for
back
doing a
again?
good job.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
we can go ahead and conclude the meeting then?
Yes, sir.
Good job. The hearing.
Oh, we were all on the same page.
Yes.